What's up everybody, it's Robin Gaming here. So obviously right now I'm recording this video in Lithuania in my temporary setup. It looks quite crappy, you can't see it, but it definitely does. Anyway, I won't be uploading too much over the next few weeks, like I said, next 2 weeks pretty much, said that in the last video. And at the same time, the lighting and everything isn't gonna be exactly perfect right now in this video, so I apologize for that, but it's pretty much, the way it goes, and there's not really too much to do about it, I guess. To get into the actual topic of the video though, so EA has been getting absolutely major backlash over these last few days for Star Wars Battlefront 2. It already pretty much happened very early on, I guess, in the whole development process where people found out about the microtransactions and stuff. But right now, with the early access version kind of out, it's just been getting to this point where everybody is talking about it online and people are just starting this massive war against the company, against Battlefront, and simply against microtransactions. And that's pretty good to see, but quite a lot of things happen. So let's actually run down the list and talk about it, right? Basically, the way it really started was that people on Reddit found out that it just simply costs a lot of credits to unlock certain hero characters that apparently, and I didn't play Battlefront 1, just putting that out there, but apparently in Battlefront 1, all the hero characters were free from the get-go. In this one, they found out that even while they're paying like $60 or $80 in some cases for their game, they still have to play, and it seemed to come down to around 40 hours of gameplay just to unlock, for example, Darth Vader in the game, like a random character. That was pretty much what the post was about, which is obviously an absolutely crazy amount of time. Now, in response to this message, EA replied on that Reddit post. It got, that original message got upvoted quite a lot, so it was on top of the list pretty much. And EA did pretty much the exact opposite. They replied and in return received pretty much the most downvoted comment in Reddit history with 666,000 downvotes at this very moment, which is just, crazy when you think about it, right? I'll really quickly read the message, what they said. So they said, the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestones rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion that the community has put forth around the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon and as often as we can. Sounds very much like a typical corporate message to damage control, the backlash that you're pretty much getting for it, right? So, like I said, in return, they received over 600,000 downvotes, which is just, an insane amount. Now, they did ultimately respond to that, and what they said is that they announced that now there would be a 75% reduction in credits needed to unlock, all of these characters. It still means that you're gonna have to put time and stuff into it, but hey, at least it's something, right? The funny thing as well is really when I look at this message, for example, that they provided, they're talking about a sense of achievement and pride that they want to give players once they finally unlock these characters, but that obviously makes no sense because you can also decide to simply spend money and unlock that character from the get-go. So what sense of pride or accomplishment is there, when you're doing it that way? There isn't. It's simply a way to, like I said, damage control this whole thing and make people accept that there are microtransactions in the game. So yeah, we got a couple more things happening, I guess, to really make things even worse. Basically, there was an EA developer that called all these people complaining online armchair developers, kind of like people just complaining and acting like they're developers or something, which has kind of nothing to do with the whole story because people simply wanted reduced microtransactions. You don't need to be a developer, or you're not acting like a developer by, demanding stuff like that. And at the same time, reviews have come out on Metacritic now too, and the user score at the moment is at 1.6, which, there's barely any games, I think, on Metacritic that will reach scores that low. Basically, like I said, this whole Star Wars Battlefront situation has been getting absolutely out of hand, but in a way, to me, it is good to see that, because microtransactions have become more and more the standard, and like, you know, developers keep thinking that they can kind of like go a step further with it, right? Like keep building it up, and people will keep accepting it. But now we've reached this sort of like boiling point where gamers are just absolutely getting very angry over it, and rightfully so, because, you know, in my opinion, and I've made a video about this before with Shadow of War, right? Microtransactions simply don't belong in video games, like in AAA console video games that you spend $60 for whatsoever. Obviously, they started in the mobile market, you know, like I brought up in that video, where people didn't want to pay for apps anymore, and so they had to be brought free, but the developers did need to make their money back somehow, right? So that's why you put in the microtransactions and stuff, and yeah, that way you can still make money on the game. That's understandable and that's fine. But this is an industry where, once again, you spend $60 on a game. You simply expect, and should be able to expect, you know, to have all of the content available to you, because that's what you're ultimately paying for. And so in that way, I do believe that, yeah, we simply shouldn't be having these microtransactions in games. Now, I can, of course, also look at it in the other way, where you see more and more as well that developers are simply struggling to make money on games. And some gamers don't want to pay, you know, like $60 anymore for their video games. They buy games secondhand, they rent them or whatever, right? They simply get them for cheaper prices, and in that way, you know, there's not as much money going to the developer. So obviously, once again, developers have to find out pretty much tricks to make money back somehow. And in certain cases, that's very understandable, because otherwise they wouldn't be making a profit on the game. In the case of Battlefront, I'm pretty sure that, you know, with the game costing $60 and selling millions and millions of units normally, they would have been perfectly fine with the amount of money that they put into it and the amount of money that they would get back for it. The microtransactions are simply a way to make even more, which is obviously what a company will always want to do. Anyway, like I said, it is kind of this, you know, sort of like, I do feel in a way double about it, because microtransactions shouldn't be in video games, like I said, whatsoever, not even cosmetic in my opinion, because it makes no sense when you're already paying so much for the game itself. At the same time, gamers do need to realize that they, you know, need to like spend money on a game as well if they want that thing to be profitable, so they can get more video games like it, right? It really is that simple, but yeah, like I said, let me of course know your thoughts in the comments. It is definitely quite interesting and funny to see what is going on with Battlefront right now in EA simply, and hopefully it means that in the future lots of other developers will be looking differently you know, at all of the projects they're developing and stuff, and maybe choosing to go with less microtransactions. But what that's going to mean for the price of games, or what exactly is going to happen there, or simply the development costs and marketing costs for games, that's something that's definitely going to be quite interesting to follow in the near future. So with that being said, thanks everybody for watching. Look forward to, like I said, some videos in the, you know, next few weeks, next 2 weeks I should say, especially on Sunday, the Uncharted, you know, sort of like tribute documentary style video, which is going to be really awesome, but not too much, because I'm, you know, here kind of on a holiday. And then for now, yeah, thanks for watching, and hope to see you again next time.